Hello guys, welcome to the channel. So today we are taking out here the gearbox from the boxer engine to be able to put the engine onto the stand to do the complete tear down of the engine. Okay, throughout this disassembly I want to search for the issue that was present when I bought the car. I think it was a consequence of the lack of adjustment of the ITBs, which is every time I accelerate and deaccelerate and accelerate again, I have a very large clunk and almost like a problem on, for example, the center of the clutch disc being with a lot of play. And for that I have a very large clunking noise. I think it is because of that. Because previous of the adjustment of the ITBs, my accelerator, it was almost like a switch. As soon as I was accelerating, just touching the accelerator, the car had a very large response. It was responding too much to the accelerator and creating in that way, I believe, a problem somewhere. I hope the problem is not on the gearbox itself, because this gearbox is very good. Okay, it's not all that bad. And throughout this disassembly I want to search for that problem. I believe the problem is not within the engine. It may be clutch, gearbox, or maybe something on the differential. So on that side we took out the bolts and nuts for the gearbox, which are the same for the starter. On that top side over there, those two. On the low side is just a nut, like it is on this one. Then we have another nut over here, 17, and up here also 17. This is 17 millimeters all around. Now here on the gearbox, it does not seem to have any issue on the splines. Although this shaft does this movement, I do not know, because this is the first time that I will work on the gearbox like this. I do not know if this is normal or not, despite the fact that my gearbox works very well. Of course, second gear is always that same old story, but even that, it's not that the worst that I found so far. You have here your release bearing, okay, and this is not old. I believe the clutch is not very old. And you have here your lever. This lever, normally the hole starts to be a little bit on the wobbly side. This one too is starting to get. So I have to close it and drill it again. Okay, maybe do a reinforcement over here, because this will start to eat out your gearbox, casing. But nothing out of the ordinary so far. Also, that pin over there starts to get a little bit worn out. I have to put a new one. It's just a roll pin, I believe. I think it is. So if the problem is not here on the splines being worn out, and if the problem is not here on the clutch kit, maybe the issue will be on the differential. I really hope not. I really do, but let's see. So what the hell happened here? How can they bend this dowel like this? I mean, it appears not to be from here, or starting to come off or something. I'll try to remove this. Disregarding here this dowel, I will not use it again. But it's very strange. god. Hey. So the clutch disc was scraping here on the bolts. That means that this disc, for once, may not be for this car, or the brand it is not for this car. It cannot be LuK. It has to be Sachs Valeo. Okay. It was really worn out, but this is garbage for me anyway. And it is scraping here on the bolts, which means that maybe this application is not good enough for this flywheel, or the surface of this flywheel is too far gone. Maybe. I am yet to find a company in Portugal to do the resurface of these flywheels, because everyone wants to do it with a lathe, and it cannot be done with a lathe. It has to be on the stone. God. And that is why the diaphragm of this pressure plate was so wobbly. It is because this piece of junk is LuK. Yeah, cannot be LuK. Alfa and Fiat do not use LuK, except for some cars, okay? So next I will go to the bench and try to see if this center part is loose, as I do that accelerating and deaccelerating. I believe this center part is moving. I hope so. If not, I really have a problem on the differential. So let's see here if the issue is within here, this center part. I really hate LuK clutches. They are awful. Sorry. Oh my god. So here is the problem, yeah, evidently. So it means that my differential is good. Yay. So I bought this a bunch of years ago, and it is the original one. And as you can see, the clutch is different. Over here you have a dimple for the bolt area, and in this you do not have for the flywheel bolts. The construction is totally different. The padding, of course, is new. Okay, normal. And on this side it is also different. In fact, I believe no, the size is the same, but the padding is a little bit larger on this one. Okay, this is typical from LuK. They always do this padding so much thinner. So here on the clutch, on the spring pack, it is completely different. On the center over here, we do not have any dampening like we have over here. This dampening is failed on this LuK one. So yeah, that is a plus. Also here, oh my god, look at this. This is a proper clutch. Look at the size and the quality of construction of this. This is really old school. It's very good. So now I just have to take care of that flywheel and check out really well that gearbox to see if I do not have any problems related to this play over here. And I'm glad. So it's all fun and games, and all joking aside, I really want to understand this. Clutch brands cannot be your preference. I mean you cannot stick with Sachs, for example, or Valeo, or LuK, or Exedy, or Aisin, for example, stuck with it and go all the way. No, you have to be open-minded and know that that particular brand of cars uses, on that particular model, on that engine, a Sachs one, or a Valeo one, or a LuK one, or an Exedy one, or Aisin. Okay? So, yes, I do not like at all LuK brand, but I know that Audis, for example, and certain Volkswagen engines and BMWs have to use LuK, because if you use another thing without being LuK, you will have a lot of issues, like I told you on the video about the flywheels, for example. Just one more thing. I really hate to ask for this, but as you can know by now, my channel is going 100% of the time, and for that things are a little bit different, so the income is not steady. It's not enough also. And I really appreciate if you can do a simple contribution for the channel. Down on the description we have links for that. You have Patreon, you have PayPal, and you have another one that I do not know if it works on all countries. Okay, but I really appreciate if you can consider a help for the channel, whatever it may be. Okay, so I'm not really blinded by that. Okay, even though I do not like at all LuK because of stuff like this, interference and shakiness and whatever, I know that this brand has to be used on other engines, gearboxes, cars, and brands. Okay, so do not be completely blinded by your preference. You have to be professional and thorough, even though if you are not professionally doing stuff. Okay, you have to be focused on what is the brand that the car manufacturer used on that original assembly. Another thing that can happen, and it happens a lot, is you have a car that uses a Sachs or Valeo or Aisin or Exedy clutch, and you buy a LuK brand and everything goes perfect. Yes, that can happen, yeah, but you have one example of that because you do that, okay? And we professionals do it all day, every day, weeks at a time, years, and we see much more problems with that. Inside of that issue, you may have is you buy a LuK brand, but inside of the packaging does not come with LuK. It comes with other brand, the brand that is for that car. That happens a lot, not just for LuK, not just for Sachs. For Sachs also happens that if you have a BMW and you buy a Valeo or Sachs clutch kit, inside you can have a LuK assembly. Oh yeah, okay. So that's why sometimes people get confused because in my car it works very well. I like LuK or Sachs or whatever very much, and it works on all cars that I work. For example, professional mechanics do this all the time. They focus on one thing. Normally LuK, because the margin, the gain margin is bigger, so they get more money with buying that particular brand, and it works for them because inside of the packaging not always comes the brand that you purchase on the packaging. Okay, so don't forget that on Asian cars, if you have Mitsubishis and Toyotas and whatnot, more Japanese oriented cars, and some Hyundais also, I believe, I don't remember right, you have Exedy and Aisin. Okay, if you use anything other than that, you will have rattling on the gearbox. That happens a lot on 4x4 vehicles, for example, a lot. So working on Asian cars, on Japanese cars, always use the Japanese brands of clutches and flywheels and whatnot to do that repair. On the European cars, it's more like Sachs Valeo, LuK, Schaeffler, okay, like I told you on the video about flywheels. Down on the description there is a playlist for clutch issues, okay, clutch, flywheels, primary and secondary clutch pumps or clutch cylinders, okay, like you call it, and in that way you can understand uh, the whole thing that I'm talking about over here. This is just one of the issues. This was a very, I'm looking here at the gearbox, this was a very scary moment for me when I purchased the car because the symptom is really weird. Every time I accelerated and accelerated again, it was a shattering, very hard shattering, and this engine having a lot of force. It was really violent. Okay, I was able to take that out a little bit by tuning the ITBs. It was really better, but the consequence is really here. And then on the gearbox, I will see if I have any consequence also on that, because the pins of the differential may be hurt a bit, but I will do a overhaul on that, okay, on the gearbox, here on the engine also. But before that, I want to take care of the rest of the car, take out the suspension, the brakes, the interiors, all of that. Once the car is on the painter, on the body shop, I will take care here on the mechanical side, okay? Guys, don't forget that down on the description there is a lot of stuff that can and will be useful for you about clutches, about brakes, lack of power, crank no start. I have a lot of videos for that right now, okay? And really a lot of stuff about everything on the car. See you next time, guys. Bye!